everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Awakened. I'm Josh, back with you again, here with Rob and Nate. We're doing things a little differently today. We're only going to have the one camera setup, testing out some new technology here in the studio as we prepare for our migration to our new studio, which we're currently building, and super excited about that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It is going to be amazing. Cannot wait to bring that to you guys. But we've got a really good show here today. We're going to be talking about some new updates on the Canadian dictatorship, which has now been officially approved. We can talk about that. Justin Trudeau, his verifiable alliance with the Great Reset. That has all been documented, and we'll show that to you. Parents are still rising up against their tyrannical school boards. A very, very heated mother leads the way on this one. We've got a disturbing example of two separate justice systems in the U.S., which we know is the case, but this just solidifies that point. And we're going to be talking about how the United States is already preparing to follow in our friends up north, Canada's footsteps, and how this could be happening in the coming weeks. So we all need to be prepared. We need to be aware, alert, and awake, of course. So
yeah, it seems to be moving pretty quickly.
It's rapid. It's coming so quick, and it's tough doing these shows once a week because you're trying to catch up, but you're also trying to highlight what's coming.
The last 24 hours has been just astronomically quick changing. So it's good. We'll get through this and be able to highlight some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get started into everything today, make sure you guys go check us out on Locals. Join our Locals community, www.supportaga.com. And you guys join Locals, $5 a month minimum. Just help support the show, help support the network. And we're posting everything over there throughout the week, news articles, video clips, things that we just can't get to everything in the show, but we're trying to make sure we keep that community, that feed as up to date as possible.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And we love to see people logging on and commenting and good stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So if you want to be an insider, you can text AGA to 330-619-4497. That's AGA to 330-619-4497. Become an insider into our texting community. That's amazing as well.
Yep. And then, of course, AGA.network. Go to AGA TV. You'll never miss an episode of this show, no matter where they shut us down. We tried to post our video episode, part of it anyway, on YouTube last week. We did cut out, as you guys remember, pieces of it that we knew would get us banned. So far, that episode's still up. So I guess we didn't do any misinformation last week. That's cool. As of yet.
But one clip out of that I posted on Facebook got me personally banned.
From Rumble. Yeah.
From Rumble clip.
Yeah. So we had a segment on Rumble, and it was the Ooh, is this going on YouTube? I'll try to see how I want to say this. The segment about, the stuff that YouTube says is misinformation.
Right.
You posted that.
I posted a clip on my personal Facebook page, and it was within maybe 5 minutes, I got a message back that I had a warning on my account, that I was restricted from posting, and that it could have been a mistake that you posted this. And I was like, it was not a mistake. It was truth, and you just don't want truth. So it was interesting to get that on my personal.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was a clip about the government's own data.
Yeah. It was literally, we read off their data, and that's misinformation according to Facebook. So it was completely nuts, but I'm glad we're going to have something, other social media outlets that are coming alive that we'll be able to post things on. So that'll be good.
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting for Truth Social.
Yeah.
I think everybody's still waiting. They said the run out's 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got approved to have your account, and then over the next 10 days, they're going to start unlocking it.
Okay. So if you watching this, you don't know what Truth Social is. It's President Trump's. It's finally ready. His social media platform that they've been developing, and it's launched lightly.
It's launched on Apple devices.
Yeah. Okay.
It's launched on iPhones. So for those Androids out there, they don't have that ready yet. Android users, but it is for iPhone. And I texted you the other day and I said, let's get AGA on there quickly. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what your number was, but then I did my personal account through that. And it was like 594,000 or something was the number of people that have logged in before me. So there's going to be millions of people downloading this app. And
we maybe like 297 or something like that.
And I only did it a little bit after you, and it was over 500, almost 600,000.
Yeah. So go pre-register basically for your account on Truth Social. I mean, when you're trying to run millions of people through a system at one time, obviously there's going to be issues, and everybody's clamoring for this. And I've seen so many people that are saying, as soon as my account's activated on Truth, done with Facebook, done with Twitter, done.
Yep. And we're going to see that huge. So we'll definitely be found there.
Yes.
We already have our pre-registration. So the AGA network will be live on Truth Social whenever that is. They said 10 days, it could be. So once that's up, we'll be one of the first ones on, and trying to bring this on a non-regulated platform. Because all I did was share a link, and they completely gave the warning and shut it down. So I'm tired of it. I think many Americans are tired of it. And when people start leaving these platforms, I mean, I know some people that have just left social altogether. Like they're done with all of it. They have the AGA app, and they have their Christian other sermon apps and things that they have, but they're done with all social, YouTube, all that. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt these mediums. But I don't think they really care at this point. They're just there to push an agenda.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
all right. So this weekend, the Canadian Trucker Convoy kind of got shut down.
Yeah.
Quickly, as you said before the show, Nate.
Yeah. We took a couple days at a camp and come back, and everybody's cleared out. Like it's crazy.
So we're going to kind of detail a little bit of how this went down, what sort of happened over the weekend. And it's crazy. But again, this is stuff we've got to be paying attention to, because it's going to be happening here.
Isn't it interesting that they always do the big things on the weekend?
Yeah.
The government drops the documents that they don't want you to see on Friday night because they know you're going to be with your family. They go arrest and kick out these truckers on the weekend because most people are like, I have too much during the week. I don't even want to think about anything on the weekend. And they're not in the news source. So of course, the mainstream media is not going to have any reason to report it. But very interesting timing of it.
Yep. It's not done on accident. So here's the first clip from the weekend. Check this out here. So that was a little brutal to watch.
Especially considering this was one of the most peaceful protests we've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, they're literally there standing, not doing anything.
Yep.
And then bang.
I don't see any buildings on fire.
No.
No
windows being
looted.
broken, no bricks being thrown. Yeah.
No police cars on fire.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. And they bring those horses in. And I saw the interview this week of the lady prior to being trampled. She did an interview with one of the local news stations there. And she said that she was standing there for her children who are not allowed to play sports or go to sporting events and have to wear masks in school. So she was standing there in representation of the kids. And then you see those horses actually trample her. And she said in the interview, I will only be a peaceful person standing my ground to say I'm standing for freedom. And the dictator, orders these people to the police to, and how can you be a policeman and do that? It's totally demonic.
It is, but I have had conversations with people over the weekend about this stuff, and you know, we ask a lot of times, like in Germany, Nazi Germany, how did some of these law enforcement people just go along with this?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we're seeing it.
We're seeing it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting, though, that they everything that happened right there. The police came in and they ended up trampling a person with horses. And it just reminded me of an incident that happened not too long ago in our country.
Horrible what to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped, it's outrageous. I promise you, those people will pay.
So those comments right there, you would think maybe he was talking about what happened in Canada.
Right.
But no,
of course
not the case.
Because it doesn't go along with their agenda. We say that every single episode. Their agenda is to take away freedom, and we see it with the connection with the Great Reset. We see it in every aspect. And I'm telling you, America better wake up, because we've got truckers headed to DC right now.
Yeah.
And you think that this just happened in Canada? No, they've already done stuff in Congress, and the president has already declared things that will make that happen here.
Yep.
Yeah. So the big difference is here, when the U.S. Border Patrol was doing that, they weren't rounding up U.S. citizens. They were trying to prevent non-citizens from coming illegally, breaking the law in our country. Whereas the Canadian Ottawa police were attacking their own Canadian citizens who were doing nothing wrong, just peacefully protesting, which is their right to do.
Not in this day and age. I mean,
well,
like if you go according to what they're saying and what they're doing, it's not okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So there was I'm trying to remember exactly how this went down. There was a trucker named Chaba Vizzi. Chaba Vizzi was in his truck, and he was told by police to get out of the truck. And he told them, I'm going to get out of my truck. I'm going to get down. And he was telling the police officers what he was going to do before he did it. That way they weren't, he didn't want to, he didn't want to alarm them. So he said, I'm going to get out of my truck. I'm going to get on my knees and put my hands behind my head. And that's what he did. But this is what happened. And this video that we're about to show you was taken by a man named David Paisley, who was up, I don't know if he was on the rooftop or an upper floor. And he saw this whole scene play out. But since then, he has been arrested and his camera equipment has been seized because he recorded this video.
Being arrested, man being kneed there. It's terrible.
So that was Chaba Vizzi in the middle of that pile of police officers.
It looked like he was fighting back.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
It sure did, didn't it?
It looked like he was sitting there getting handcuffed, and they started kneeing him to push their nonsense.
Yeah. So interesting. So Chaba Vizzi, the truck driver, he's actually an immigrant to Canada. So he's not a Canadian-born citizen. He fled Romania many years ago when it was under communist rule. And he's, like I said, he told the police what he was about to do. And then he just got out peacefully, got down on the ground, and they started essentially attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the public outcry? Where's the murals being painted? Like, seriously.
Yeah, St. Vizzi, right? It's wild. You're right, Nate. I mean, it is a great example of the double standard.
Yep.
There's one key difference. We can all know what that is. Like, I mean, it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right.
And again, and that narrative, which I hate so much, is now he's Romanian, transitioned to Canadian because he wanted to live in a peaceful country. and have freedom, to make his own life. And like you're saying, Nate, the public outcry, there is none, just based on skin color.
That's it.
Something that does not matter.
That determines whether the media will pick this story up or not.
Well, and also he was on the wrong side of the political argument.
Yep.
Right.
So Tucker Carlson reached out to Chaba Vizzi and had him on his show. And here's how that interview went.
Vizzi, thanks so much for coming on. So, good, thank you. So the video that we showed appears to have you surrendering peacefully to the police. And then the next we see, you're being kneed in the ribs by Justin Trudeau's men. Did you fight them?
No, sir, not at all. I get down from my truck. I went down right on my knee. I put my hands behind my head, and I was waiting them to take me away. So in that moment, the police officer, they start to push me with those sticks. They was yelling to me, go back, go back. And I just told them, hey, I'm the driver. Then suddenly somebody yelled, arrest him, arrest him. So they dragged me in. They lie me down on my belly. I don't recall how many of them they was on top of me. They was squeezing the air slowly, slowly. I feel like I was beaten, but I took it like a man. So
well, good for you. At least someone's behaving like a man. You seem to be having trouble breathing. I could hear it through my earpiece. Were you injured by this?
Yes, they break my body a little bit, but not my spirit.
Not your spirit. Is this no? So you lived, if I got it right, under Ceausescu in Romania. Did you expect this kind of behavior in the formerly free nation of Canada?
No, sir, not at all. When I moved to Canada, everything was wonderful. People, they are talking with you on the street without knowing you, like asking you, hey, how are you? I never experienced stuff like that before. So I was like so happy. I said, geez, that's so nice. Everything was beautiful in Canada in the last 20 years. I can say that the last 2 years, it's like impossible to live here anymore.
Well, we hope you'll come to this country, which is, whatever its problems, freer than Canada. And we appreciate your coming on tonight. Chaba Vizzi, God bless you. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
At least someone was acting like a man. That's the truth.
Powerful statement, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Powerful.
I love how he begins that Justin Trudeau's men.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. The people he pawns off his dirty work on to go beat these people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's just some of the stuff that happened in Canada. Let's see here. I've got another clip. So there was a woman who was trying to get coffee. She was just trying to get some coffee one morning, and here's what happened.
I just want to get a coffee, okay?
Why is the camera in my face right now? Are you here partaking?
You walk
right
up
now,
to
you're
me.
in the red zone.
I'm scared. I want to go for a coffee down there. Can I go
where's
for
your
a coffee?
residence, still being arrested right
Do you
now.
live in this?
You're
No,
not
I live
excluded
here,
from that.
but I'm
Where do you live?
Alberta.
Time for you to leave.
I can't even go down there for a coffee.
No,
Go grab your
you're
stuff
in the
and
red
leave.
zone right now. If you don't leave right now, you will be arrested. Do you understand me?
I can't go for a coffee.
Grab your stuff, because if we see you, we'll be patrolling all day. If we see you again, it'll be different.
Leave. I tell you. Take your camera and get out of here. Do you understand that?
I'm walking away.
Walk away. Your phone doesn't need to be in our face when you're walking away. Go.
Please have my phone down.
Are you going to walk or are you going to get arrested?
I was
Go
walking
now.
away.
Get out of here.
Oh my goodness. Hope you can go to sleep at night.
Ooh.
So the most interesting part about that was he says, get your phone out of my face. They walked up to the phone. Mm-hmm. She wasn't going up to film them.
Mm-hmm.
They walked up to her. She was going to get the coffee. And
That's a good point.
they had anger because they were on camera. Well, they got masks on, so it doesn't matter, but they're on camera. But this is all nonsense. Now, I understand restricted areas. I get all that. And if the law is you don't go down there, then she probably shouldn't have been there. But when she was confronted, she turned around to leave. She said, I am leaving. And when she started walking away, that's when he grabbed her phone and started to harass her when she was already walking away. Anyway.
There was a couple of coffee shop owners that were also in the news talking about how they were threatened by the police, that they were going to be arrested because they had served coffee to some of the protesters.
What are they supposed to do? Get their vax pass and then ask them if they're part of the protest?
Yeah. Like, how many restrictions are we going to put on people to get a cup of coffee?
10 question, like paper, like, what are you here for? Like,
it's scary.
It is. And it's exactly what we witnessed. Well, we didn't personally witness it, but this is exactly what Germany was like.
Yeah.
And wear your gold star. It's insane.
Yeah. I just get angry and angrier at these policemen.
Yeah. Well,
that go along with this.
Well, let's talk about the policemen, and let's talk about the sudden shift, because I think for the most part, for the first 3 weeks of the protest, the police were not violent toward any of the protesters.
They were giving them high fives and
yeah. So what changed? I mean, how did it change overnight? And all of a sudden everybody's arrested, trucks are gone, and the protest is over.
I would love to know that answer.
Well, I think part of the answer has to do with the police chief, who is not the original police chief. But
the original one resigned, correct?
The original one resigned, but we'll discuss that in a second. Here's a clip of the new police chief and what he had to say about pretty much anybody who had anything to do with these protests.
So I was in the crowd yesterday. I was unfortunately hit with some pepper spray. I just have a question. There's some video cameras that the police are using, and some news outlets are reporting that you're gathering intelligence with those cameras. Can you elaborate, like, if the protesters at this point, retreat and go home, are they going to be getting sort of repercussions down the road? Or are you going to be sort of actively pursuing the people that you've been sort of documenting and filming who are still out there protesting? What are your plans after this, after the protest is over?
I think it's a great question, and the simple answer is yes. If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges. Absolutely. You have my commitment that investigation will continue, and we will hold people accountable for taking our streets over.
You guys notice real quick how everybody in the back is standing with their masks on, but again, the guy presenting no mask.
Yep.
It's all for show.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that this isn't without precedent. This is what they did January 6th.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
January 6th, the federal government started tracking people back to their homes and calling them in their homes and saying, you were in Washington on January 6th. And they didn't at that point have the emergency powers to limit your bank accounts, but they did do this in Washington.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And now with the freezing of bank accounts in Canada, if you're in Canada, you've really got to figure out what you're going to do with your money.
Yeah.
I would say if you're anywhere in a free country, you better learn what you got to do with your money.
Yes.
Because if
you're today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah. They're not only restricting your access to your bank accounts, they were canceling insurance.
Yep.
The insurance companies are in bed with them. They're doing everything to eliminate you from the face of the earth, and in some cases probably bodily. But in your footprint of finances and insurance and everything else, they're just literally taking it all away like you don't exist, and you're not getting it back.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And this, for everybody watching, you need to understand, this is the Great Reset suddenly amplified. I mean, this is social credit system 101, where if you did anything to help these protests, now you have no access to your bank accounts.
Yeah. And I forgot, I don't know who exactly said it, but they brought up a good point. When most of these people donated, it was totally legal to do so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Totally legal to donate, and now they turn around and make a law. And then even when it was legal to donate, now they're coming after you. That's the scary part. That's the really scary part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when, you could donate to GoFundMe and things like that for the riots.
Yep.
Like you said, back in 2019, 2020, when buildings were being burnt down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's wild.
They were bailing people out. I mean,
But okay, so the police chief there, that is the interim Ottawa police chief. He's been there at this point maybe a week and a half or so.
Yeah.
That's Steve Bell.
Mm.
The original Ottawa police chief quit. I guess it would have been last week or late the week before. Peter Slowly was his name. He stepped down as chief of police. Apparently, Slowly told people around him that a stronger enforcement move by the Ottawa police could lead to a January 6th style confrontation that could escalate and lives could be lost. So he didn't want the police violence. He didn't want the force.
I love what you just said there.
What's that?
He didn't want the police violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not about the protest violence.
Nope.
It's about the police violence. And that's why he resigned, because he knew that if they were called on by Trudeau as henchmen to go and do this, that it would get violent, even though it didn't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So that report of what he told people around him, that jives with the notion that he asked for, additional law enforcement detail be sent to Ottawa to help de-escalate the situation. But like we showed in the videos, the police had other ideas for ending the protests. So he was hoping to get more law enforcement into the vicinity to help kind of alleviate what was going on and to eliminate the risk of having to do police force, because you really have to use police force when there's fewer police.
Right.
You need to
bring in the horses and trample
exactly,
people.
Exactly. So other reports, though, said that Slowly ordered his men to intercept and seize fuel from the protesters, and that the officers were refusing because they considered it to be an insignificant charge. I don't know. I don't know what the true story is with Peter Slowly, the original police chief.
The only way you get that is an interview with him.
Correct.
The rest of it is all nonsense. It's all spin. It's all spin.
Yeah.
Like the government's spinning it to make it.
Oh,
they wanted the hardliner to be the guy. So yeah, I'm sure he was either going to be fired or resign.
And I forget what the story is. Steve Bell, who is the new chief, I'd have to look it up again. He has some history from years back whenever he was being investigated for something along these lines. And it seemed like they knew he'd be the guy to come in and get this dirty job done.
That'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, that would.
We're finding everybody that are key players in this, they have a dark history.
Yeah. So, and I know he has one. I read about it and I forgot to put it in here and I can't remember exactly what it says. So I don't want to misquote anything, but I know he was brought in. It wasn't just on a whim or he was the next guy in charge. He was brought in for this reason, to get this protest out of there.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Because whatever the situation was with Slowly, we know that the police violence began after he was gone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the Convoys organizers, Tamara Lick, was arrested over the weekend. And prior to her arrest, she released a video. And we're going to play it in full. It's a little bit long, but have you guys seen it? Okay.
Nope.
Well, then I want to get your opinion on what she says after this is done, because I know what it did to me. Check this out.
There's a pretty good chance. Well, I think it's inevitable at this point. But I'll probably be going somewhere tomorrow where I'll be getting 3 square meals a day. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. And I want you to know that I'm not afraid. I'll probably get some sleep finally. Just please stay peaceful. And please take care of each other. And know that this too shall pass. And I'm not sure if you remember, but I posted a video a few weeks ago, feels like forever ago, about tomorrow And there will be a tomorrow. And we will get through this. You have to understand that there's a lot of things at work here that need to prevent this from being a success. And the only way that this is going to succeed is if we always come from a place of love. I've always said, as human beings, we make choices from one of two places. We make choices from love, or we make choices from fear. That's it. That's the bottom line. And I pray and I hope that you will make your choices from love. You have to know that they're trying to provoke us. I mean, you hear their language. You hear the language and the verbiage that they're using, and that is not coming from us. And I know you guys all know that. But we can only win this with love, and we can only win this together. And it's time to stand together. If you can come to Ottawa and stand with us, that would be fantastic. And if you can't, pray for us. I know you are. I just want you to know that this is my hill, and the hill of so many brave men and women. I can't tell you how amazing these people are. And they're going to stay and they're going to fight for your freedom as long as they possibly can.
What do you guys think?
Well, she has taken a stand that many won't, and very respectable. And she mentioned you make your decisions out of one or two places. And 1 John 4 says there's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. But fear hath torment. And I think that I believe it goes on to say that he that feareth does not have perfect love, or something to that effect. But I know that what she has done, so she was arrested the next day. Yeah. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So what she was doing in that moment was raising the flag of the movement and what it's about. And I think that everyone has to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Not sure what the charges were for her arrest. I don't think she did anything illegal.
Nope.
And obviously she knew that. She knew that was coming. She knew she did nothing wrong. That's why you could sense there was a piece about what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And the last I had heard, she's still being held without bail.
Of course, because they would probably say that she's a flight risk and she's,
in their language, she's probably labeled a terrorist.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. And that, I want to just make that key point real quick. So just keep in mind that this woman who you just saw the video from is being held without bail. And I know it's in a different country, but we've got a story later on that we're going to talk about that revolves around bail, and just compare the two when we get there, but just keep that in mind. But yeah, that kind of hit me in the heart when I first watched it over the weekend. I thought, man, like this is real. People are sacrificing.
She poured herself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's starting now in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Right now
they're already progressing.
Yep. We've got a video from that here in a little bit that we'll show you. But first, there's this video from True North News. Released this video of a recent parliament meeting in Canada. So in the video that we're about to show you guys, Conservative MP Colin Carey is bringing a question, and the question's coming from one of his own constituents. So he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He brings this question to the meeting, and he asks about a clip that we'll show you after this. And it's interesting because just as he's finishing up his question, his mic gets cut off. Now he's coming to the meeting virtually. He's not actually physically present. And then they cut his audio, and then what's NDP, right? New Democratic Party, I think, in Canada. Charlie Angus declares that Kerry was spreading disinformation with his question. So check this clip out.
Constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad, and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honorable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, that member was promoting open disinformation. That's not debate.
Okay. The audio was the clearest Zoom audio I've heard in forever.
And he's clearly using his own microphone and everything. Like,
exactly.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, definitely. But as soon as, if we could like pause the clip, as soon as he said Klaus Schwab, the parliamentary leader literally looks around,
scrambling,
and like, shut it off. And
you saw the guys back and forth walking like, do I turn it? What do I hit? Should we just cut it?
The page is like, oh crap, this is my big moment. I got to do something. And then can't do it.
Yeah. So that's a clip that if you have friends or family or anybody who's saying, the Great Reset's a conspiracy theory, it's not real, whatever, it is being presented in Parliament in Canada, and they're freaking out when it gets mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. And he is saying, I want the ranking member to start calling out these people.
Yeah.
Like,
show me who. Yeah.
Start naming them. Yeah. They won't let that happen.
So here's the best part though. So that guy at the end says, oh, well, he was spreading obvious misinformation or disinformation or whatever. I don't think that's true, because here's the clip he was talking about.
We are very proud of now the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
Okay, so there's Klaus Schwab himself saying he had met with Justin Trudeau, and at least half, if not more than half, of his cabinet have been penetrated by the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset.
Yep. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, that was 2017.
Yeah, I think so.
So 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So who knows what that number is now?
Correct.
Oh yeah. It's got to be greater than that at this point. But maybe I'm going way off here, but they're at the John F. Kennedy Historical School of Government.
Yep.
John Kennedy wouldn't even be accepted in the Republican Party right now, let alone the Democratic Party.
Yep.
He'd be too conservative for all of them.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at his policies, he would be considered too conservative for the Republicans right now. And anyway, I just think it's interesting that these schools of government, these schools around the country, are allowing this nonsense to happen in their buildings. It's crazy that they're even talking about penetrating other governments with their ideology, and they're teaching young skulls full of mush.
That's what I'm so proud of, this younger generation. Like, right there, plain as day. Their goal was to get them from the day they were born and indoctrinate them and turn them into world leaders.
Yep.
And that's what we see now all across the globe.
Yeah. So that was just such an interesting exchange there.
He's referencing what we just watched in Parliament and saying, and oh no, that guy says this is disinformation. No, these are their words. And exactly why my Facebook page had issues. It's the same thing. We're using their words their video, their words,
their stats, their
data, and all of social media and everywhere else. They're saying, no, that's misinformation. No, it's from your own mouth.
Yep. And speaking of from your own mouth, if anybody still has doubts that Canada actually is a dictatorship or that Trudeau has become a dictator, well, here, just let him tell you.
Here we go.
With Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted that I find quite interesting.
I mean, just let them tell you themselves because they love to.
Oh yeah. They can't keep it in anymore. They're so bold about it. I find that don't you believe that the left often tells exactly what they want by blaming someone else? He said Stephen Harper would love to have a government that he could control and turn on a dime, yet he's sitting there knowing that he's aiming to create that.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. Yeah. But they project that onto their opponent instead of that's why so many people, I know that many people didn't like President Trump because he was brash. But one thing about him was he didn't play the party nonsense. He just said, "No, you're an idiot." Like he didn't say, "Oh well, I think that you would like a more conservative government," and which is what he wanted. He didn't project it on them. He said, "You're an idiot. You're completely stupid, and you're not going to be able to do anything." And that's why he won the first go around. That's why he won the second go around. But we know what happened there. So it's very interesting that they always project what they are.
Yeah.
So they say you're a liar because they're lying.
Yep.
They say that you're a terrorist because they're terrorists.
Yep.
They say all these things about you when that's who they are, and they have to get the focus off of them to someone else.
Yeah, they'll say that you're a conspiracy theorist whenever they're the ones doing the conspiracy.
Yep. Right. No, we're just playing your videos.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to be a Chinese dictator, and now you're in Canada and you're doing it.
You're the ones being violent. Oh wait, we're trampling on you with horses.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's just like the video we showed last week with the reporter with the burning building. Oh, this protest is mostly unruly. The building's on fire.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's but they do it all the time. And the great part about it is that people are waking up.
Yeah.
People are waking up to this craziness.
Yeah.
Of the left.
I think and I've said this before, I think there's a lot of people that still are sitting at home watching this stuff unfold or seeing on Facebook and saying, well, that's stupid. Obviously, that's not true. And that's as far as they go. They won't speak out about it. If it gets brought up in a conversation, they hold their tongue. They don't want to offend anybody. Those days they've got to end.
I had a conversation with a very prominent leader yesterday, and he told me of a story of a place where he was, and there was misinformation going on in this group of people. And during our conversation about other topics, he brought this up, and he said, looking back, I should have stated the truth, and I didn't. And he said, I missed my opportunity to do that, and I won't miss it again. So I believe that people are realizing you can't sit in a public place where people are spreading disinformation, like, whatever. I can't say it all because it will be banned on YouTube again. But like, they're saying things that obviously aren't true because of the documentation and because of what Justin says, right? If someone's out there saying that he's not a dictator and he doesn't want to be, well, you just have plain proof. If you're going to sit there and allow them to say that he's not, then you're the problem. We're the problem.
Yeah. That is, I couldn't have said it better. that's what you can do. If you're watching or listening to this and you're still thinking, what can I really do to impact anything? Start calling out lies when you hear them immediately. So if you hear somebody say that, oh yeah, that man can participate in women's sports. No, he can't. That is a man. I don't care what he calls himself. It doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly. The one that's won 7 awards now and 7 records because he's a man swimming and female
swimming. You are
destroying
women's sports.
Right. And yet these women lib people are the ones that have been, they're on his side.
That's wild.
It makes no sense other than it doesn't fit the agenda of what the left wants to do. And that is tear down freedom everywhere.
Yep. And just to reiterate, Canada did vote to, how do I want to say this? To solidify, to confirm the Emergency Act powers.
Yeah. So
like Trudeau enacted it.
Right.
And then they voted to confirm.
But there was a trick that Trudeau played, and I don't know if any of you guys caught it.
Go ahead.
So Trudeau got up and said, we're going to vote on this to extend the emergency. But he knew he didn't have the votes. He didn't have the votes to get them to confirm it for another 30 days or whatever they were doing. So he stood up there and he said, I think I'm not a parliament guy, but I understood it to say that I'm going to just step down if you're not doing this. Okay.
Wasn't
no confidence.
A vote of no confidence.
A vote of no confidence, which means he's stepping down. Yeah. Like you're saying I'm not viable to lead, so I'm going to step down. Well, this is a political trick, because from my understanding, I may be wrong, but from my understanding, if he steps down as a prime minister, it triggers immediate elections for every office. Every office. Okay. So everybody sitting out there is now up for election today, and they would lose everything. They would lose everything. So he stood up and he said, if you're not going to vote for this, because he knew he didn't have the votes, then I'm going to say no confidence, and you're all going to have to go for re-election today. And after what has been going on in our country, you're all going to lose, and we're going to lose our station. And so even the conservatives didn't want to go to an election tomorrow, because they knew they would lose because of what the public opinion is right now of them. So he stood up and blackmailed them to vote to continue the emergency agreement. Now, that's from my understanding of how the parliament works, is that if you would have stepped down, everybody would have been up for election. Now, if you're sitting there, let's just say you're a conservative, Colin, whatever his name was, Collins, if you're that guy and he steps down, you're up for election tomorrow. How are you going to vote? Well, if you're thinking about freedom of your country, then you do it. You don't vote for it. I mean, you say, fine, step down. But there's so many people that get their identity from being a politician, get their finances from being a politician. That's why George Washington said, I don't want to be the president.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this. That's the attitude of every elected official that I want to see. I don't want to do it. I have to do it because no one else is going to do it and stand up for freedom. But I don't want any of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want any of it, but I will do it because I'm compelled to do it. That Washington's like, no, I don't want to be the king.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the king. I am here to set up freedom. I'm here to stand for freedom. And we see how big of political hacks there are in the Canadian Parliament, that they would allow this trickery of Justin Trudeau to allow them to take away the freedom for another 30, 90 days, whatever it was, I forget, to allow Justin Trudeau to vote for that, to take away the freedom of Canadian people for that significant amount of time. So in essence, they said, we're okay because we want to save our seat. We don't want to run for re-election. We want to save our position, confiscate all those people out there that voted for us, confiscate all of their bank accounts. That's exactly what they said. There should be not one parliamentary member re-elected that is in that room. None.
Yeah.
Because they just threw the whole country under the bus.
Yeah. Well, what about the ones that voted against it, though?
Well, there was the majority of the vote was
like
for that.
Wasn't it like 185 to 150?
Yeah.
Something?
But there were people that crossed the line to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. But those
so out of the 180, the majority of people that voted to extend this none of them should be reelected.
Yeah.
The people that voted it down, of course, reelect them. But the people that actually extended this, they have to be removed from office.
I completely agree. What was it in the United States? I think this was last week. What were they voting on? Do you guys remember this? I can't remember off the top of my head.
And the Republicans didn't show up.
Yeah, there were 4 of them who didn't show up, and it got passed through. What was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember the bill, but I can look it up.
Oh, that's going to drive me nuts because it was kind of a big deal, I thought.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Okay. Well, while Rob looks that up, let's go ahead and shift our focus to the United States then anyhow. And I want to show this video. This is Kyle Sefcik. Okay, he's one of the organizers for the U.S. Freedom Convoy. So he released this statement addressing President Biden directly ahead of the movement. So watch this video. And for me, when I saw this, I was like, well, this is how you protest the right way, with your peaceful motives and clear transparency about your objectives, so that the media can't just go easily twist what's happening. So check this out.
This message is for the President of the United States of America. My name is Kyle Sefcik of the Freedom Convoy USA 2022, and our routes meet here in DC on March 1st in time for your State of the Union address. We are very organized and our routes are public. I even pulled a permit for the National Mall to be respectful. I just want to be as transparent as possible from the start so there's no confusion. We are coming peacefully, and we're going to do this lawfully and constitutionally. I want the rest of the world to know our plans so that there's no twisting and lying about who and what we are. I'm coming to you as a father, a small business owner who's unaffiliated to any parties. We just want government overreach to end. On behalf of Freedom Convoy USA 2022, we are asking you to end the state of emergency, end the mandates once and for all. Sir, the world is watching us because they know that if what's happening in Canada happens to us here in the land of the free, then freedom as we know it is gone. So we are leaving the choice to you. The decision is in your hands. This whole convoy, this whole assembly on the National Mall, it doesn't even have to happen if you just end things now and we can get on with our lives. To you other convoys that plan on meeting us here, we look forward to seeing you and joining with you. We're going to do this right. We're going to do this honorably. Mr. President, we have no other motives in this mission. You see, the government, our elected officials of both parties have failed us tremendously these last 2 years, and now it's time for us, we, the people, to fix this, to end this. We're ready to get back to our lives, the ones promised and guaranteed in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the contract that you signed and swore an oath to under the one true God. This is simple. End this.
So the U.S. convoy is kicking off, and I thought that was just a very well done, direct speech to the president saying, look, you have all the power to make this go away because you're the one who brought it.
Right. You asked for that. You signed it.
Yep.
And now you have the ability to take it away. But I hate to say it, looking at the way that Canada has gone and how power works in Washington, I remember a quote from a long time ago, and it was, I don't know where it was from, but it was power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We have a problem with power. We saw in the last administration just a battle of power, and it's gotten more entrenched in the last year.
It has, and so this, like you said earlier in the show, on Fridays, it's wonderful. It's when the government loves to do this stuff because, like you said, people are coming home from work. The week's over. They're going to spend time with their families. They're going to hang out all weekend. They got stuff to do. They're not paying attention to the news. So this is why they do this stuff on Friday afternoons, Friday nights. The president extended his emergency powers from the pandemic. They were set to expire on March 1st. And now that he has extended them, gosh, I don't even know if there's an end date listed on it.
I don't know, but I know that
year or what it is.
Yeah, it's just going to continue to be extended because it allows him complete freedom to do what he wants.
Yeah. So it's interesting that he did that kind of within a week when Trudeau did the Emergencies Act. And here's a quick summary of what those powers include. Quote, these delegations or grants of power authorize the president to meet the problems of governing effectively in times of crisis. Under the powers delegated by such statutes, the president may seize property, organize and control the means of production, seize commodities, assign military forces abroad, institute martial law, seize and control all transportation and communication, regulate the operation of private enterprise, restrict travel, and control the lives of United States citizens in a variety of ways. Congress may modify, rescind, or render dormant such delegated emergency authority. So that's what we got going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people knew that.
Yeah. A copy of Canada. Yep.
And it was, under the cloak of Friday.
Yeah.
Like under this is the last thing we're going to do at day of business. Let's sign this so that we can take away the freedoms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, that first thing, seize property. You do have to wonder, are they already getting names gathered up, like contact?
Well, they were already capturing names of people who applied for religious exemptions that were in the federal government.
Yep.
I mean, come on. And now they know of Americans who gave to the Canadian truckers.
Right. And
I mean,
this happened Friday. So this was all ahead of the convoy that was starting this week.
Mm-hmm.
So they got it.
And today I saw that some members of Congress, before we are recording this, some members of Congress have asked for the authorization of the National Guard to be put in place to limit any travel inside of DC.
I did. You're right. I saw that too.
Yeah. So like they're already gearing up for this peaceful protest.
Yes. And the walls are back up.
Yeah. The walls are back up and they're putting a wall. I don't know. I saw a video. I'm assuming it was not like those fake videos that Biden in the White House, but there was a concrete wall going up around the White House. It looked like concrete to me.
Say, that sounds a little more
could be drywall, but I don't know. Looked like concrete.
They're setting themselves up to when the convoy gets to DC, just shut DC down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're going to do.
Like you said, so seize property, trucks.
That can literally mean anything. Yeah.
Yep. Restrict travel.
Yep.
Truckers.
I think that this, my personal opinion, this Emergency Powers Act, it's been in place for a long time. I think that they may use it for truckers, but I don't trust this government not to use it against everyone.
I don't either.
Not just the truckers. Like they're doing in Canada. If you gave to that, then you're part of the problem and we're coming after you.
Yeah.
I think that that's the same.
Yeah, you're right. And this is how you take the Great Reset principles and you get them in.
Yep.
Because you say, okay, we have emergency powers because of the pandemic. Well, now we're going to, based on what these powers say that they have, they can slide in the Great Reset values of, well, if you're not towing the line or, donating your money to the organizations we approve of, we're going to freeze your bank account.
Right.
Now, that has nothing to do with the pandemic, but it does fall under the powers that they've granted themselves.
Yeah. And I know that Winston Churchill originally had the quote, but it was made very prominent in the United States under the Obama administration, which was never waste a crisis.
Yeah.
So they're taking a crisis that isn't a crisis yet. They're making it into a crisis so that they can do what you just said. They can take advantage of that crisis to implement what they want. And that's why I think it would just be, I mean, we chatted about this and we could always cut this out if it doesn't fit. But I mean, I appreciate what the truckers are trying to do. I really do. But what if 150,000 truckers stayed home for 3 weeks?
Yep.
There would be no violence. There would be no shutting down of the capital. It would shut down the country.
Yeah.
And people like, I'm not advocating for that. Okay. I'm not saying that we should do that. I'm saying there is looking at what happened on January 6th, knowing that those doors are 22,000 pounds and they had to be open from the inside on the Capitol. I feel like going to DC is only going to instigate some nastiness. Where if every trucker in the whole country just stayed home for 3 weeks, the whole country would come to a halt. Wouldn't it? I mean, like you wouldn't have anything at Walmart. You wouldn't have anything anywhere. And they would literally just say, I'm not doing my job. You're not doing your job in Washington, D.C. Yeah. I'm not going to do my job. But by going to D.C., I personally feel like we're setting ourselves up to lose freedom instead of gaining freedom.
In Canada, they shut it down in Canada in what, 3 weeks? And it's done. Like the government worked around it. There's no more trucks. So now America has a blueprint for what to do.
It won't be 3 weeks.
No,
there's
no way.
You're right. And they put on a great show up there in Canada for 3 weeks and made some noise, but it resulted in a complete loss of all their rights.
Yep.
Right.
And actually, it resulted in now I'm not saying that they caused it.
No.
Don't hear me wrong.
No.
But the whole situation resulted in Canada's now a dictatorship.
Yep.
Right. And that's what they want in America, right? They want to postpone elections. They want to do all that stuff. And under this, they can probably do that. I don't know. But I just feel like you go back to Roe versus Wade. Okay. I know that whatever. I'm going way back, but go back to Roe versus Wade. At that point, our country was very religious. And there was a handful of people that said, we want to change the law, right? We want to make abortion legal. And this small minority of people made that change, and the majority was silent. Now, I want to go back to that. If in that moment, the religious people of the United States of America in that moment would have said, this is murder. They were saying it. Get me? They were saying it. But if they would have said it a little differently, they were saying this is murder and it's horrible. I mean, I have recordings of pastors saying that. It's the truth. But if all of those people in all the churches across the country said, we're not going to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You can take our jobs away. You can do whatever you want. We're not going to work tomorrow until this law is overturned. It would have shut the country down and the law would have been overturned. You can't get me to change my thought on that. I believe it would have.
It makes sense.
So now you've got, let's say at max, 25,000 truckers. I don't know what the estimate is for what the American convoy is going to be. You've got them all going to DC. Within 3 weeks, the same thing's going to happen in the US, and we've just lost all of our freedom. Where if everyone just said, whoa, they're making these people wear masks and get passports for airline pilots, we're not going to fly, and nobody flies. Guess what? That changes. But the problem is in America, we love ourselves so much that we don't want to sacrifice.
Yep.
And so I think that if we all just didn't go to work for the next 6 weeks and said, we're just not going to do anything until the government changes, there's no law you're breaking. You're just not going to work. But if you go to DC with your truck and you park it in the middle of a road and impede traffic,
you're a target.
You're a target and you're breaking some sort of law, traffic law.
You're right. And if you stay home, you like we said before the show, you essentially eliminate the risk of bad actors or the plants.
You can't tell me that there weren't infiltrators on January 6th. There were bad actors. There were people that wanted to have a problem. And if you go to DC, they're going to have a problem. If all the truck drivers just said, hey, we're going to take a couple weeks off, guys, and everybody did it together, I think that would really shake up what's going on. And it would not be breaking any laws. You just don't want to go to work. How many people are getting paid to stay at home anyway?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The government's incentivizing people to not work. So let's just not work for a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
and hopefully you have enough stuff in your house that you can last.
And I just pulled up, I was able to find that article we were talking about before we got into this stuff with the truckers here, but it kind of relates because the people like you said, stay home and make your impact that way. And just, I'm not going to work because I don't agree with any of this. You can't count on your representatives to do anything for you. Obviously.
No, they stayed home.
Yeah. So what that whole situation, they were voting on an amendment to defund vaccine mandates.
Yes.
So it was all about the vaccine mandates, trying to get that shut down. And the amendment failed in the Senate on Thursday, 46-47. There were 4 Republican senators who didn't show up. Just didn't bother to be there. And that was, get these names right here. Mitt Romney, of course, Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, Richard Burr, North Carolina, and our favorite Lindsey Graham, South Carolina.
Oh yeah. Lindsey Graham-nisty. I think that we have to call out the rhinos, and they can never hold office
ever again.
Like, we have to hold them accountable, because those 4 guys, I mean, this bill would have essentially eliminated any mandates for vaccines, and they stayed home. These liberal hacks that call themselves Republicans stayed home. You're getting me fired up. Stayed home and didn't do their job. Okay.
Yeah.
You're elected to go do that job. Now, if you're protesting and you say, I'm not going to do this, that's fine, but they're not.
Yeah. And it's not like they showed up and voted the other way. They just didn't show up.
Right.
What are you there for? What good are you?
Yeah.
That irritates me. Like, especially with how much these people get paid.
Yeah. Yep.
And how much they benefit off of us.
Yeah. You know, their salaries aren't that great. I mean, when you really think about it, the salaries aren't that great when you got to have 2 houses, because you got to have one in DC and you got to have one wherever you're representing from. But it's all the under the table stuff that they get to, you know, insider trading and all that never goes on. But that they go paupers and they come out their first term millionaires. I mean, there's something going on. But going back to that, they didn't show up. And look, something that could have been good for our country didn't happen. And I think that if we don't show up, something good could happen.
I like that. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a well thought out strategy.
It's not well thought out. I just thought of it 10 minutes ago, but I just
no. You've been talking about it for a while though. You've used that Roe versus Wade example before. Where
I've been preaching about that for a while. It was the church just didn't stand.
Right.
And that's obvious, but I think we're in a moment where we have a choice. We can stand and probably, I mean, if you park your truck in the middle of the road on a local highway here, you're going to get a ticket.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So you're breaking some law by driving into a city, but if it's sitting in your driveway at home for the next month and a half,
you're not breaking laws.
You're not breaking a law.
You're just not going to work.
Just not going to work. And what, 40% of our country doesn't go to work anyway and gets paid by the government? And why not make it 70%?
Well, like you said, if they're sitting in the middle of DC with the truck just sitting in the middle of the road, they're not going to work anyway. So just like you said, keep it at home. And don't run the risk of breaking any laws. Don't run the risk.
I just think it's a wiser play.
I do too.
I think it's a wiser play.
It's the safest option, like that we can think of.
It's much harder for the government to come out and say, we're enacting these emergency powers to shut down all these people standing in their driveways.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? But if
we're going to force you to drive that truck to get fuel in it.
Right. But if there's hundreds of thousands of people in DC on the mall, and all of a sudden you got a couple of people planted in there, start, you know, a little bit of violence here and there, all of a sudden they can bring in troops.
You should go in that door. You should go in that door. It's open.
I'm not going to go.
Yeah, I'm not going to go, but you should go in that door. John opened it up about 2 minutes ago with his key card. You should go in there. I talked to him on the phone. He said, come on in. No, I just think you eliminate all the nonsense if you just say, we're shutting the country down until these mandates are lifted. And you have a voice for it, and somebody's got to stand up and say, we're just shutting the country down.
Yeah.
But you have a voice for it, and you say, listen, no one's going to work in this country until you represent us and you pass the laws that we demand.
And actually, you could spin that even better too, with the mandate thing, to say, hey, look, if we're still under such a risk with this pandemic that we have to have these mandates, we're definitely not going to work. So we're just going to stay home.
Exactly.
Until you end them and show us that it's safe.
Yeah. And it will turn around in 24 hours.
Yeah.
It will. It will. When the GDP of our country gets cut in half in 30 days.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we call the truckers real quick?
I've been trying to say to the truckers, let's stop. Just park them. Just park them. Not in the middle of a road. Just park them somewhere. And let's all go. You know, to the buffet and
let's play around
some
golf.
Food. Let's go play around the golf. Let's go do something else.
Right.
And then we'll just check in on how the government's doing when it doesn't have any revenue, like gas taxes.
You know they're going to spin that story, but I would love to see that play out. What is Biden going to stand in front of the press and say?
That's what he'll say.
Jill,
I need your help. Jill. Oh my word.
I'll probably just get one of those lovely blank stares.
Well, and the great thing about it is when he mumbles, you can make him say whatever you want.
Oh, this is what he said. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, that was fun. So we got a couple things here to hit on quick. So people are standing up other than, the truckers and the convoys and things like that. These parents at these school boards are still.
Okay. This is my favorite story of the whole day. I mean,
you want to kick it off?
Just we have to understand that the school board is what is controlling the education system in your district. It is the school board. It's not the superintendent. It's not the treasurer. They are employees of the school board. And so the school board actually hires whoever comes in and teaches your kids. As a school board president, you have to sign the documents of every employee every year in the union. You have to sign them every year, their contracts. So in this story, this is a school board meeting in Montgomery County, Virginia. Now, Virginia has been the hotbed of school stuff with, the new governor comes in and he says, we're not mandating anything. And if you mandate it, you're breaking the law. I love it. It's great. Mother Alicia Vaught, I think is how you say it. She is standing in front of the school board, and I saw this clip and I sent it to you because I believe it is a perfect picture of standing in truth and not wavering. So go ahead and play it, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Okay, sounds good. Here we go.
We sat here last year and listened to you guys preach to us about Governor Northam's executive orders and how we must follow them. You guys remember that? We do. So here's the governor that comes into office, but yet you don't want to follow his orders. Why is that? Why is it different from the last year when we were here to this year? 2 different governors, 2 different political parties. So we were supposed to follow it last year, but not this year. That makes no sense. And it makes all of you a bunch of hypocrites, except for Dana and Jamie. Ms. Cass, you also yelled at me the last time I was here for taking off my mask, but here's a picture of you right here on Facebook with a crowd of people.
That's it.
With no mask on. This is my time and I don't interrupt you. Here's another picture with you with a no mask on.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vaught, you are done. If you are going to sit there and disparage a member of our school board, then you can sit down. If you have something effective to say.
I have facts and truth on my side.
I am not going to sit here.
This isn't about you anymore. It's about
Can we have a police officer, please?
Really?
Yes.
Scared because of
no, I'm not scared. I don't care. I would like you to either talk about something. You can talk about something that concerns our school board.
Where's my team?
Is there something about our students you would like to talk about? Then talk about our students.
You're taking up my time.
Can you please ask Ms. Vaught to leave? Thank you.
What, for speaking the truth?
Ms. Vaught, let's let the rest of us talk.
Can I finish?
No.
So you are.
If you would like to finish about students, but if your idea is to stand there.
It's not about you
Huh?
anymore. Now
She
it's
should be
about
able to
Dr.
say her
Meyer,
piece.
like you call him.
I've had to listen to people come and criticize me.
People came here and criticized you last year?
Absolutely, and I couldn't do anything about it. And publicly, I was humiliated.
So people came here and they talked about your mask to your face. They showed pictures of your family. They showed pictures of your.
Yeah, they did worse.
Pictures there, you did.
That doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't make it right, Jamie.
You're right, but I had to say.
That's my family. That is then fine.
What do you think about our family?
I am not.
Our family is being suffocated to death
I'm
by
done.
your policies.
Time is up.
What do
She
you
leaves or I leave. Time is up. Time is up. I'm done.
You can't deal with the truth. You don't need to be a school board member.
It's not the truth, but that's not the issue.
You can have my seat.
We're coming for them, all of them.
Okay, so Okay, so number one, she makes a great point in the very beginning. You sat here as a school board and you lectured us about how we had to obey the governor whenever he had a mandate for masks. Now another elected official who won handily comes in and says there's a mandate not to wear masks. Now they don't want to address it at all. They want to continue doing masks. Mm-hmm. And so she's bringing that point up that you're a hypocrite. Now she said the word, obviously they're on the defense right away. Now there's an interesting thing about school board meetings, and that is that there is a public comment time, and you can get up there and you can call out things that you don't agree with. And everybody in the room has a chance. Now, sometimes you have to register or whatever, but you have a chance to follow their procedures to stand up front and express your opinion about where the school board or the teachers, whatever. You may be having an issue with the football team or the football coach, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can get up there and share that publicly in front of the school board and call out the injustices that you feel are happening. So interesting, she says, you're saying that our kids have to be masked all day at school, but you're in crowds of people not being masked. And it's amazing how liberals always cave when you bring the truth. Either they try to arrest you, right?
Yeah.
Or they actually cave. She got up and walked out of her seat, which is what's going to happen. She's going to lose. I mean, you're in Virginia. The governor just won a great election, and you're on a school board that they're coming after your seat because you are not doing what you should be doing. You're not thinking about the kids' well-being. This is a picture perfect example of what every school board in the country should be hearing.
When you heard it right at the end, the woman gets up and walks out and she says, "You can take my seat." And the mom says, we're coming for him.
Yep. Every school board in the country, when it comes to critical race theory, when it comes to all this nonsense that not just school boards, but you've got the teachers unions and there's a lot of organizations that are funded heavily to educate our kids to nonsense. But you have school boards, and you heard her say, I'm not here for Jamie and the other person, because they're actually conservative people that are believing for our kids. So you're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to disagree with everybody. But if a school board meeting happens and there's not a public participation about an issue when the law is being broken, this school district is breaking state law by requiring masks to be if there's no one speaking up against that, then it's the parent's fault.
Yeah, correct.
And so she's just saying, I'm doing my due diligence to come and highlight that you're a hypocrite because this is you. And they don't like it when their picture's on there. It's not about their kids being in the picture. It's about them being called out on their crap.
Yep. They don't like it.
No,
they don't like it because how do they defend it? Yep, that is a picture of me. Yep, I am in a crowd of people. Yeah, I'm not wearing a mask.
You could pull the Newsom, I held my breath.
Well, no, that was the mayor.
Oh,
I think that was the mayor who said that.
I held my breath. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But anyway, I think this story actually highlights the importance of standing up in a school board meeting and shouting. Now, I've been on the other side of it. I've been in her seat and had people shout at me for an hour and a half as an elected official. And you just if you're elected, you got to be able to take it.
You would hope so.
Yeah. Well, obviously they can't. They were put in there anyway, I'll stop. But let's just say, if you're going to be an elected official, you have to be able to take dissent, and you have to know your rights, and you have to stand in truth. They cannot stand in that school board. They cannot stand because they're doing illegal things. And so as long as the parents rise up, it will change. But if they're silent, it won't. Yeah. So I just commend her for having the guts to go and say, you're a hypocrite. This is exactly what you did last Tuesday night. You did this last Tuesday night, and yet our kids are in those classrooms and they have to wear masks all day because every other school district is under the same laws and they're not wearing masks, but you guys won't abide by the state law. So you're in violation. Fix it.
Yep. I loved it. And that mom was unafraid.
Yep.
They cut her mic. She just kept talking. They were shouting over her. She just kept talking.
The other person that I admire about that is the police officer.
Yeah, I did too. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. The police officer was called by the board president to come up and remove her. But then it was like, I don't have a cause to remove her. She isn't she's not doing anything that would be illegal. If showing those pictures was breaking the law or the rules of that school board meeting, he would have actually physically removed her.
Correct.
So he didn't have cause to remove her.
And you could tell because he even came up, I forget what he said exactly when he approached her from the side, but he said ma'am,
it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time to leave or something. Or can you come with me? And she said, for what? For telling the truth?
And he
was
back.
Like,
he left.
I think it was kind of one of those things. Well, what do I say if somebody asks me, well, what am I removing her for?
Right. Yeah. She's not breaking any rules. She's allowed to stand there and talk.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go back to, in this case, the school board has an agenda and they're breaking state law.
Yeah.
and these parents are standing up. So if you're in a school system in which critical race theory is being taught, Common Core, all those things that are meant to derail the mindset of our children, you need to go to these meetings and stand up.
Yep. All right. So I have a clip here. This kind of plays right along with this. So this is from the Jesse Kelly show. He's talking. This one really caught me the other day when I was listening to him talk, and he was going back through the cruelty of what the government and public health officials have done to people throughout the pandemic, and kids, but not just kids, but really everybody. So just listen to this.
I don't look down on you if you struggle with addiction, man. I'm not perfect. I've had plenty of struggles in my life. I'm not perfect at all. What if you're drinking too much? What if you're hooked on the pills or some kind of drugs or something? What if you have these things in your life and you're getting by, you're struggling, getting to work always helps get your mind off something else. And then these politicians decide an infinitely survivable virus means you should lose your job, go home, sit down and just stare at the wall. Oh, don't worry, your rehab clinic is closed. No, you can't go see anybody. Man, what we did was awful to people. Absolutely awful to people. It blows me away how, like I said, how cold it was. Just there was never a thought to them. Never a thought to the small business owner, to the person struggling with addiction. Never a thought to the poor kids we sent home to learn from computers. Never a thought to the older folks who got robbed of the final years with their loved ones who died alone. I mean, imagine this. Imagine living 80 years on this earth. Wife, husband, kids, grandkids, maybe some great grandkids, career, vacations, just memories, a lifetime of memories, a lifetime surrounded by family, and spending the last year of your life by yourself where you die with your wife looking in at you through a window. And that's not some horror movie story. We did that in this country, and we did it on purpose. That is wrong. It is dead wrong.
That kind of just gave me some goosebumps listening to the end of that there, because that is what we did to people. Okay. You guys have any comments on that before we move on?
Just solidifies there was no thought other than control the people. That's it. I mean, from day one, they knew when they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, they had all this in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what Alicia is fighting back in her school board is saying, this is about control, controlling us as parents, controlling the classroom. And, she's calling it out, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. All right. So this episode is actually running a little bit longer than normal. We're really diving into some stuff. We got one more story we're going to go through here. And this is the one that really highlights the two different sets of laws for people. Now, have you guys seen this story? The Quintez Brown story?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so.
All right. Well, actually interesting. So don't read too much through, because I have a question for you guys then. So just to kind of kick this off, we know that there are still a lot of people from January 6th last year that are still rotting away in solitary confinement after almost 14 months, no trial, no bail, blah, blah, blah. We know that a lot of the Trucker Convoy protesters have been arrested. We know that GoFundMe shut down the Convoys donation page, seized their funds. We also know that every time there's a mass shooting or a case of self-defense like Kyle Rittenhouse, gun control activists race to the media and they advocate for the confiscation of firearms and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I say all that. Now, let me ask you guys, if I told you that there was a person who walked into a mayoral candidate's office and attempted to assassinate that candidate, how would you assume that story might have ended for that shooter?
Arrested, no bond, and I don't say solitary because I don't know what that would be, but he would be in jail definitely.
Okay.
For what's going on.
I mean, good chance they might be dead.
Okay.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Right. Like
they could
shot on
turn the gun on themselves.
Right.
Shot by the
something.
police.
Yeah.
What
But if they were arrested, I think that they would be in for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a mayor.
Okay. So this happened last week. A 21-year-old man named Quintez Brown was arrested and charged with attempted murder in Louisville, Kentucky. He walked into the Democratic candidate Craig Greenberg's campaign headquarters and attempted to assassinate him. He fired off multiple shots, but luckily he did not hit Greenberg. Police arrested Brown shortly after the shooting, less than a mile from the scene. So he was arrested on Monday for attempting to murder a political candidate, and on Wednesday he was set free.
What? No
2
way.
days later.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Released from prison.
And we've got people from January 6th still in prison.
Yep.
A year and 2 months later.
Yeah. So who is Quintez Brown, and how is he not in prison right now for attempting to murder somebody? Quintez Brown is a Black Lives Matter activist. He was released after the BLM chapter in Louisville Community Bail Fund posted his $100,000 bond for him. And prior to his lethal intended use of a gun, this is one of my favorite parts, Brown was an advocate of anti-gun violence. Okay. He spoke often against the Louisville Police Department and advocated for the reduction of gun violence.
Except his own.
Yeah.
Except his own. There you go. And you want to
Good
talk
call.
about a hypocrite, right?
Yeah. Well, you can't give to truckers, but you can give to the BLM, bail out your BLM buddies.
Sure. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't recall anybody trying to fund a trucker who attempted to murder somebody.
Exactly. Wow. That's crazy.
So a little bit more about Mr. Quintez Brown. He was previously named as a rising face by Barack Obama's foundation in 2019. He was chosen for Obama's My Brother's Keeper program. Brown was listed as a change maker on the Obama Foundation's website, though he appears to have been removed since the shooting. I went to see today if it was still up. He's not on there that I could find, but a day or two after the shooting, he was still there on the website. He was running as an independent candidate for Louisville's Metro Council and was a columnist at the local paper. So leading up to the shooting, this is interesting. Quintez Brown's social media post reflected a strong interest in the Black nationalist and Pan-Africanist leaders like the Lion of Judah Armed Forces. Now, this group claims that Black Americans are the true descendants of the biblical Hebrews and has been connected to several anti-Semitic murders in the U.S. And why is this important to note? Craig Greenberg, the guy Brown was trying to murder, is Jewish.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, like it's wild. And the more I dug into this, it was just very disturbing. Brown's attorney has denied claims that his client attempted to carry out the anti-Semitic attack, alleging that Brown instead was struggling with mental health issues. He said, "This is not a hate crime. It is a mental health case." How convenient for Quintez Brown.
Yeah, exactly. And every other person, it's instantly a hate crime.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You went through the light when it was orange. It's a hate crime.
It's either a hate crime or it's the gun's fault.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But now the BLM activist, he goes in and tries to murder somebody with a gun. And, he's got mental health issues, guys. Come on, be more understanding.
Yeah.
Which is it? We can't have it both ways all the time.
Well, they've been having it both ways for a long time. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Burning buildings or,
burning
peaceful
buildings,
protest.
that's peaceful. Peaceful protest, that's violence.
Right.
So
that
just thought that was something to just bring to light. And
the different sides of our judicial system.
Yeah. But remember, in Canada, the organizer of the convoy is in jail with no bail. And Quintez Brown is at home under house arrest after he actively tried to shoot somebody.
Thank goodness. He probably held the gun sideways and couldn't aim it. Like he got off multiple shots and didn't hit him. Are you kidding? That's pretty wild. Like you should have some you should be in jail just because you couldn't shoot the guy. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he came close. I think the guy even had holes in his coat or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Like, I mean, was he shooting into the ceiling? I don't know.
No,
but
he was trying to shoot him.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know just to put it back in perspective, the people from January 6th, no bond, solitary confinement.
Yep.
A year. This guy, 2 days. 2 days and he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're political prisoners.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. I'm glad you said that because that's an important thing to note ahead of this convoy and the eventual, I'm sure, dictator grab in America.
Yeah.
We already
They're
have
political prisoners. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But that's why we're doing this. That's why we're talking about it, because if we don't talk about it, if you're not watching, it's less people to know about it.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
well, for this guy, you just hope that as a candidate, he's still going to be okay and be able to run and do what he needs to do. And hopefully all of the evidence or whatever that comes up, it'll be tried in a court, and he won't just be able to run free forever.
Yeah. Something to follow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll stay on it. So, all right, guys, anything else before we wrap it up?
I'm sure the news will be hitting as soon as we
hit stop.
I don't really even want to check, to see what happened in the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode. And we're, like I said at the head of the show, we're really excited to be trying out new tech, to be getting ready with our new studio, to put ourselves in a position to do this more, to bring you more information. So just continue to follow us, stay up to date with everything that's going on. Head over to supportaga.com, join our locals community, help support the network, $5 minimum to be a supporter. And then that gives you access to, comment on all the posts, and we can actually have conversations, which haven't really happened that much yet, but we'd really love to be having conversations with everybody in there throughout the week, and not just, in the comments on the videos, which are great too.
Yeah. Comment.
Love doing that. So anything you guys are thinking while you're watching this, drop it in the comments. We try to get back to you as soon as we can. Head over to AGA TV and watch the episodes. Follow us there, aga.network, go to Rumble. You can still follow us on YouTube for now. But just,
who knows?
Be aware we're not going to be there probably forever. So
download the America's Greatest Awakening app on all your devices so that you have us in your pocket at all times, and you can see the content that's coming out. We have some new partners that'll be coming on board with the AGA network. So lots of new content, and we're just excited that you're watching and listening.
Yep. We really appreciate it. And we will be back next week. Until then, everybody stay awake.